Guys, it's John Ratt from the Feelfree Fishing Team. I want to welcome you guys to our 2023 recap show. I've got several guys ready to jump on and work with us tonight and talk about their year, their season, do a little recap, the good, the bad, and bringing on also a couple guys that are ugly. So let's welcome the Feelfree Fishing Team to the show. We've got Kyle Struther from West Virginia, Ricky Banks from Tennessee, Verge Shook from up in New York, and Jason Denise down in Florida. Hey guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us, John.
Good to be here.
Hey,
thanks.
So we're going to reboot the show here a little bit. Hey, we got another guy. Welcome. Let's let him join on. Another West Virginia angler, Jerry Spradlin. Jerry, welcome to the show, buddy.
What you say, buddy?
I bet you timed that just right. You didn't have to listen to all of us giggle at each other for the last 10, 15 minutes, and you got on just in time for the recording.
All right.
Hey, so we'll go from left to right, from the top, and we'll start with Kyle. Kyle, tell us about your year, your fishing craft, your techniques, your live, your onlines, and what you accomplished this year.
Yeah, John, it's been it's been a long season and it's still not over yet. I think we all pretty much start planning our seasons from the beginning of January, setting up our schedules and getting everything lined up and our ducks in a row. And my first national tournament this year, I went down for the Bassmaster Kayak Series on Lake Gunnersville. And that one went pretty well, but I didn't do outstanding or anything. I caught some good fish and put myself in a good top 30% of the field, which seems to be my norm lately. And I followed that up a couple weeks later when I went with you all in the Feelfree team and the West Virginia Kayak Anglers representatives for the KBF team tournament down there. And we did pretty good. I don't exactly remember where we finished, but we were like top 4, top 5 as a team, and
eighth out of 24 for team.
I was thinking
okay.
7 or 8. Remember?
Yeah.
Well, if Jerry would have caught a little bit bigger fish, I think we would have been up there. But he always loses those fish. Yeah, that was a fun event. I liked hanging out with you all. I actually got some time on the water. I wasn't working the whole time when I was there. Just some of it. Most of the work was getting that heat fix in that cabin we stayed in. That was an adventure. It was like 40 degrees down in Gunnersville at that time. It's unheard of. But yeah, I ended that tournament catching a 22 3/4-inch largemouth, which went for 7 pounds even. And that was my biggest fish of the year. Lots of fun doing that. Caught him on a jerk bait and some grass, just thinking outside the box, doing something a little bit different there within the last hour. The place had a lot of fishing pressure from kayaks and bass boats all day long. And I knew it's seen all the typical grass lures. So I'm like, jerk baits work. And funny enough, we talked about it on your podcast the night before the tournament. We were sitting around talking, and I said, jerk bait might play. And sure enough, I just thought about it a couple of weeks ago. I'm like, yeah, we made that comment on that show, and it ended up coming true for me. So that was pretty cool. And then I started getting into some local events, and I did okay there. Nothing too special, unfortunately, but I did probably another 9 local events, and again, about in that top 30%. Sometimes I'd crack the top 10, but I couldn't find those kicker fish to get me over that hump. But then last month, I actually won my first live event on a lake here in Maryland, about an hour away from us. Just fishing one small area and doing something different than everyone else was doing, fishing grass, which I love fishing grass. And we were talking earlier before the show about people cutting you off. Well, this event, I was sitting on the spot for a good while, and this guy comes in. Like, I don't own the spot, right? And it looks like you can go way further up the creek, but it was so shallow you really couldn't. And he figured that out right after he got by me. And so he's like sputtering with his water snake in the back and trying to chop through this grass. And I threw right behind him, and I caught, like a 16.5-inch bass. He turns around, is like, "Oh, what?" Starts yelling like, and to be fair, he started celebrating too. He's like, "Yeah, catch him, get him." And so, there was good sportsmanship about it. And I know he didn't mean anything by going by me, but it still feels good. I caught 2 fish that pushed me into the lead right there, right behind them. And I finished strong later in the day with other people coming in the area. And we were talking about that too, is getting comfortable fishing around other people. Like, this sport is so popular now, both kayaks and bass boats, that you're always going to have, people crowding you, people seeing you catch fish. Like in Gunnersville, they'll come up and try to check out what you're doing so they can learn, because people want to learn. They want to know what you're doing. They want to get better too. So if they see someone having success, they want in on it. And that's natural. But you just got to understand that, it sucks sometimes having someone crowd you when you have a certain plan, but you got to get that out of your head and know that the fish, they're pretty stupid. You can spook them and come back a few minutes later and catch them just fine, or it can sometimes even turn them on. So it's not a bad thing necessarily to have company in your area. And transitioning over into some of the live events, I did a lot of live events this year. For several months, I did it for at the national, like KBF level, and a couple clubs have online events. And back in April, I actually caught 105 inches for my 5 best bass, which previously I would catch limits of like 99 3/4. I could never break that 100-inch mark, but for West Virginia to get 105, I was pretty pumped. That's something that I think only Jerry and maybe 1 or 2 other people have been able to do. But yeah, I've made some hay with the online events, and they're a good opportunity for me to maximize my my time on the water. I work from home, so I have an opportunity to go kind of when I want, but it's usually right before work, first thing in the morning, or after I eat dinner. I got to go fishing at night for just a couple hours, and you got to learn to maximize what you're doing and break down patterns a lot faster. If you have all day, that's great, but sometimes it's good to give yourself a time limit and really hone your skills that way.
You definitely was honing those nighttime skills. You were out on the water a lot after dark too, weren't you?
Yeah, for a good bit of the season. I think it's like a different population of fish that really start to fire up at night, especially around here, because there's not a lot of people at night fish. I know in other states it's a little bit more popular, but still, I mean, most people tend to fish during the day. But there's things you can learn at night, and you kind of adapt yourself to fishing where you make more accurate casts, and that transitions over into fishing in the daytime as well. And it also teaches you to not to switch lures as quick. And it's hard tying lures at night, even with a light. You don't want to do it too often because it becomes a hassle. Plus, when you're on a time limit, you got to figure it out real quick. So changing lures all the time doesn't always work. So sometimes you got to just kind of figure out what's working. When you're transitioning those skills into the daytime, you got to figure out, let's not switch this lure so quick. What am I doing wrong here? How are the fish set up? It might not be a lure thing. It could be a presentation thing, and that's one of the skills that you tend to learn at night.
Awesome, buddy. What are you fishing out of right now?
What am I not fishing out of, John? I got
Yeah.
the Feelfree Dorado. I've got the lure, 11 and 5. I got the Moken 10. I use them all. They all have different purposes. I use the lure for when I'm in the river, and I like the Dorado for the bigger lakes. Obviously, it's great for zipping around those larger waters, getting to spot, and it's super stable. Like on Gunnersville, for the Bassmaster event, it got so windy one day, gusts up to like 30 miles an hour, and I was on the windward side of the lake against a seawall, and I was rocking and rolling. But it really wasn't a problem in that thing. And then obviously the Moken 10, it's great for West Virginia because you can take it on, small rivers, creeks,
Yeah.
or a lot of our ponds you got to drag to. And, the lure's great and all, but it's still pretty heavy when you got the seat and all your fishing gear. I like the Moken because I don't have a graph on it. I can only take a few, like 5 rods, 6 if I really push it. And some of the places I drag, I try to cut weight as much as I can. So I really limit myself on the lures I take. So it really, it's great for when you got to reduce weight and get into spots that you can't with other kayaks.
Well, I mean, you couldn't have said it any better. Appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, let's take it. Let's check out a C stream bite, and then we'll bring on Ricky Banks. All right, guys, we're back. Hope y'all enjoyed that little C stream action from our boys down at Feelfree. Now, to top right, we're going to bring on Ricky Banks from Tennessee. Ricky, tell us about your year.
Well, it's been a year. I admire all you guys chasing the tournament gold and what have you, and I pretty much have set up to do. I love chasing giant bass, and I usually call 22-inch fish cute, and that's just because of my Florida background, and I've caught them 29 and 30 inches. So I mean, those are bass, and Kyle loves the night fishing, and one of the 15-pounders I got was in the middle of a night, colder than hell, in a swamp lake, and unfortunately, or not, I should say fortunately, I never experienced any of the gators the way Jay did, because they're there. But I've enjoyed chasing big fish, learning what makes them tick. And what I've been doing is trying to do videos and just show a little bit about what works, what doesn't work, how to read structure, how to read the bank. And I've got several things in play right now that once I can capitalize some more of the videos to complete them, then those will be released. But I have tremendously enjoyed I'll have people on the lakes that, I've fished this my whole life and can't do this. And I'll show them a few tricks. And then, 2 weeks or a month later, I caught one that was 23 inches, and they're just pumped, and that's a quality fish, And I remember the one I had posted was 20 inches, I think a couple of years back. And John, you were like, that's a nice fish. That's a nice fish. And I'm like, it's a cute one, but again, I think
cute.
Florida spoils you. You get down there around headwaters, I guided all this. And, you don't break 10 pounds, don't talk to me, and that's how you actually become down there because of the quality of that fishery. So for me being here, and we're taking care of mom and, that twists up my time somewhat because I do need to be available. But to catch a 20-inch or bigger bass here, you're doing good. And those are quality fish. But yet I've seen them 25, 28 inches here and played with them, and caught a few, got a couple citations. And, that to me is a blast because it means as much as catching that ultra giant in Florida, so that's a good part. But we've set up Feelfree Kayaks Wildside, and the direction that I do want to go with it, and I still need to capitalize or do better with, is the educational format of it. To actually get into teaching.
Clarify 1 second here, guys. Ricky, Feelfree Wildside is your YouTube channel, correct?
That is correct. Yeah. Feelfree Kayaks Wildside. Yes. And one of the guys, Kyle, posted something about speed worming. Kyle, not calling anybody out, but speed worming does not work. If you're watching this show, speed worming don't work. Okay. No, it's actually an art. And it's an art we used in the hottest part of summer in Florida. And when the water was just steaming and you're out there going, this just sucks. And yet you do the speed worming technique, you rip it past structure, lily pad section, weeds, whatever. And the object of the game is cat and mouse. And you literally are slowing down your retrieve as the bass is hauling ass toward it. And once they catch it, the trick is bow, let them turn, and then bust them. And you really do well with that technique, you know, and it's an art. Charlie Brewer, I believe it was back in the day, did the slider technique. A lot of people aren't aware, or you know, it's again going way back, but yet it's using 4-inch worms, and you're just drag sliding them down a drop line to you know, the bottom where it meets. So if you're coming down a 17-foot drop to a solid 20-foot bottom, when you hit that 20, if there's a big boy or big girl there, you're going to get bit. They'll absolutely hammer that thing. So it's interesting, you know, on techniques. But these are some of the things I want to capture and put into the video formats to help educate, you know, and teach and share those techniques. I used to be probably like everybody on here is at first you're like, I don't want to share this. I really don't want to give up some of this stuff that I've worked years to master and do. But you soon realize that, and especially as we age, I'm getting old, but as you age, you share things and have people come back to you and they've bettered what you did and they share it back with you. And now you're better at your angling game than you ever were. Because one thing you can't take from any one of you guys, or myself included, we all have our own sense of feel to that rod in your hand. It's so custom. You know, I got 2 rods that I use a lot, and they're mediums. They are 23 and 24 years old. And I dread the day I break one because my feel is that precise on a 4-inch finesse worm. And I set the hook on things that most people look at and go, what the hell are you doing? And then they see the end result. They're like, never mind, teach me what you're doing. You know, but it's a feel, and it makes you better at your game. But if I can capture that on video, put it out there, and people can comprehend it. And I think that's the hard part, is getting it across to where somebody can go, yeah, I think I can go practice this a little bit, you know, and get there. But you know, you're pitching, you're flipping, unless you do a lot of it and you sit in the backyard with a cup and you're trying to hit it at 40 feet and then you're trying to hit it at 60 feet. Now, 60 feet, you're pushing it, you know, 40 feet's pushing it. But yet, if you get that good and you can drop that lure in with barely a wake in the water, you will nail some of the biggest fish you've ever seen. And my proof of the pudding in that is, take a fly rodder and watch them fish a mouse pattern. It hits the water so delicately. And when usually the big bass are like staging for spawn, you drop a mouse in and watch them. There's like 8, 9 fish will come up underneath that mouse. Of course, the smaller aggressive one will always beat them out and grab it. But the bigger ones come and look. So if you can get them to come and look, then what's your next step? What do you need to learn to make them strike? You know, so it leaves you thinking your game through. What could I do different with this lure to actually get a committal from a giant?
Ricky, so
Yeah.
what do you think? What boats are you using now?
Primarily, I'm loving the Moken. I've got a Johnny boat that I've got to get out yet and play with. We were using the Dorados, but for the bigger water, we do some other stuff. So we're primarily going to be in the Mokens. Love the Moken 10 pedal. Dave Bliss came out with a seat riser kit for it, and I'll give him a shout out because he deserves it. Initially, when he started it, he contacted me and asked me some advice about the industry, and I told him, you know, what I felt, and he was kind enough to share one with me and, hey, go test it. Tell me what your thoughts are. So I was kind of involved in that in the beginning. And the kid's spot on. It raises it just so perfect. You know, y'all know I had both hips replaced. So this is my year of, you know, recovery. And just lifting that seat that little bit in that Moken 10 made it even more easy for me to pedal and to do. And I know Mike DePalma came up and we went over and tried to fish Rogersville area, Beach Creek. And I said I wanted to go down by the spillway. And, that's probably 5 miles, down. And the wind started kicking. He's like, I ain't going down there. I said, well, I'm going to go down there. And I pedaled my butt down there and I pedaled all the way back and unfortunately lost one fish, but it was so easy for me to do. So the modification is great for it. The storage to the boat became better. And the problem I had during our SummerSlam, of course, John, you laughed at me, was losing the fish. And I got on one of my points. I hooked the giant, snapped the line. And then, of course, that's the one that's going to jump, shake the lure at you and laugh, So I got to eat that humble pie. Then I had an 18-incher on the board, and I sent John a picture, and the damn thing's midair coming off my hand because I really had nowhere to put the board. And now with the seat riser, I actually can put it between my legs, get down to it, so that's going to help. But yeah,
I'm Moken 10. Now that seat riser, was that designed for the Moken 10 pedal drive or the Moken 10 standard?
The pedal drive.
Okay.
Yeah, it's for the pedal drive, and it absolutely works great. I made a real simple teak rack that fits up underneath it, holds 2 tackle boxes, and you still got storage below those. So it really enhanced the capability of the boat.
Outstanding. Thank you, Ricky.
You're welcome.
All right, guys, let's watch our big boss. Speaking of Johnny Boats, let's see what he's got going on here, showing all the details and the rigging and the catching abilities of the Johnny Boat. Like Big Jim caught him a nice fish here, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right, hey guys, next victim up for the talking Feelfree, all things Feelfree would be let's bring on Big Fish Jerry Spradlin. Jerry,
You're
let's
going
talk about your.
to change my name this year to Lost Fish, Jerry. It's been tough, but like Kyle said, we had an absolute blast going down there to fish that team tournament, and I wish every one of these divisions would do something like that at some point during the year, because like I said, it was an absolute blast getting together with your fellow teammates, getting a house and fixing heat and getting cold and battling bed bugs, and but it definitely a good time. And Guntersville is one of the best fisheries in the country as far as going and catching fish. But I had the exact same problem down there. I mean, I've got the setup I want this year. I'm fishing out I've got a Dorado. That's what I do most of my fishing out of, but I do have an 11.5 lure with a pedal drive also for rivers. But I got to put the live scope on it this year. 12-inch Garmin Graph live scope. I mean, it's set up the way I want it now, and I can't get the fish to the boat to make them famous, at least on tournament day. First day of the tournament down there, I found a spot, and it was 5 minutes from the ramp right across the lake. I started fishing around this boathouse and started graphing, when the tournament started. There was like 6 big fish swimming around the bottom of this dock. And I fished my wax rig, and I put one in the boat, I cast back in there, a few casts later, hook the big one, get it to the boat, and I get wadded up Cinco on a wacky rig hook. And that's been my problem with a wacky rig. I've tried numerous different hooks and stuff, and the problem persists. Is always, whenever I get the bait back, it's always wadded up on the hook. I don't know if it's not getting, I need a stiffer rod, or not putting enough into the hook set, or maybe I'm putting too much into it, ripping it out, or what it is. But getting excited, I have no idea. But yeah, that was a good time down there. I mean, we did finish, I think you did 8th out of however many teams it was. And Kyle was right. If I would have put fish in a boat, we would have done better. But then we went down and did the what's it called down at in Tennessee, where you guys stayed on the houseboats.
Paddle and fin.
Yeah, paddle and fin. And I found a spot there, and I talked to the guy that finished like 2nd or 3rd after it was over. And the spot I was fishing, I was about 4 hours too late getting there because I fished all the way to it. There was a flat down there that was about 400 yards long, and the water was anywhere from 2 to 4, 6 feet deep, 150 yards offshore. And it was absolutely loaded with fish. And he asked me, he said, "What time did you get there?" I just happened to run into him at the gas station as we were leaving. And I said, it was about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. He said, "You're about 3 hours late." And so that was my tournament down there. And then here this past weekend, when we went to Pennsylvania to the Susky, caught fish all week long, while we were there. Didn't lose a fish. And then on Saturday, I lost 7 fish, 4 on a crankbait, 2 on a fluke, and 1 on a buzzbait. I hadn't lost a fish on a crankbait, and I couldn't tell you how long. I mean, they're not the most expensive rod in the world, but my boat will always have a Bass Pro Shop crank and stick crankbait rod in the boat. I mean, all my other rods are St. Croix rods, but they always seem to keep a fish buttoned up. And I don't know what happened down there. Like I said, the first 4, well, I did put 1 in the boat, and then the next 4 on that crankbait, they come off. But and then Sunday rolls around, you put a limit up, so it's too late for that after you put 3 up on the first day and then 5 up on the second day. But I told Kyle and them this story. I said, if you hadn't been there, or if you didn't know me, you would swear to God I was lying. I got my boat up against a culvert in the concrete, grabbed my St. Croix frog rod and my Revo and pulled it out of the holder. And as I was coming away from that wall, I was battling current next to a dam down there. And I heard a splash, and I turn around and I see about, touching the top of my rod going back into this culvert, the current pulling it back in there. So I grab a crankbait and start casting back in there, trying to get it out. And then finally I just relegate myself that I just lost a $400 setup, out of crazy. So I start fishing, turn around, start facing the current, put my lock on, and I'm bringing that crankbait back, and it feels, like a strike. So I set the hook, and I caught my rod like 10 later. That rod back. And I mean, how I got it back and lost all these fish, because, the very minute piece of foam in front of your reel on a rod, one of the trebles, one of the hooks on the back treble had got into that barely, and it was enough for me to get that rod back. And as I told Rick Garvalia, our preacher buddy, I said there was a lot of hands raised to the sky that day. But
it was a tournament win right there.
Oh yeah, it sure was. That was like cutting a check. But no, it's just been that kind of year for me. I mean, I haven't, you know me, I usually fish the monthlies, and this year with new grandkids and stuff like that, I haven't fished the monthlies as much as I'd like to. I hope to change that next year. But Kyle and I don't know how many of you guys know him or any of you know him. Heath Slaughter went to Pennsylvania with us, and we've all been looking at the new BASS schedule for next year, and it's hitting a bunch of places that we like. So we've thought about, you know, hitting that trail up, you know, for their yeah. There's Kyle rubbing his hands together. He knows the two big ones on there, you know, that are, you know, going to be difficult are Texas and Louisiana. So you know, if we can get hooked up, maybe take one vehicle and save some money traveling or whatever, and but that's what we're looking at for next year. At least I am, and I think they are too. But as far as anything else goes, that's about it.
We'll have to get Verge to drive down from New York and carpool with us.
So let's road trip. I'm ready.
Heck yeah. The more the merrier. I mean, plus it makes the place cheaper. But the place we stayed this past weekend, it was pretty cool. It was a Airbnb. It was a sheep farm, and it was 111 acres or something like that. They had taken a barn and turned it into a bedding quarters for people. Had a concrete floor with the epoxy on it like the garage floors, so it was easy for them to clean up. And he's not here to defend himself, so I can say it now. Every time we walked outside, the sheep were like, "Hey!" So, you know, but we left it down there.
Awesome. So, recent year, other than some lost fish and stuff, I mean, I know you didn't do as much as you've done the past couple of years because of the grandkids and stuff, but I know none of us really did when it come to our local tournament scene either.
No, that's something that I'm kind of, well, I'm still working. I'm 58 years old. I got 35 years in the place I work, and I'm too young to retire because I've used my money over the years and done what I wanted to instead of socking it in a bank somewhere and maybe never getting to use it. So, but my schedule just absolutely did not line up with anything I wanted to do this year. WVKA, SWVKA, anything we did on the road, I had to use vacation for. I get 5 weeks a year. So, I mean, I did use some vacation time for that. But next year, Kyle sent me the schedule for that BASS tour next year, and every single one of them, I think, except the last one, falls in line with my breaks, weekends off, and stuff like that. And I just was like, there we go. I mean, it's like meant to be.
Awesome. Thank you, Jerry.
Yep.
All right, guys. Let's look at some big fish content. All right, Verge.
I'm back.
We've got Verge back because we're saving JD for last. JD for last because we got a story that is going to just be awesome for the viewers from Feelfree. But we're going to bring Verge on next and let him talk about his year. He's our rookie for the year, and get the details from Verge on how and everything, how he enjoyed being part of the team, how it helped him with his fishing up in New York, and things like that. So looks like he dropped off for a second. So let's. Well, wait. Yeah, I think he's coming back.
Sorry
All right,
about
we
that. I
got
don't
you
know
back,
my
Verge.
internet. Howdy.
Oh,
Thanks for having me,
hey,
guys. Sorry about that.
it's all good. It's all good, man. We know I have that same issue here in West Virginia. But all right, Verge. So rookie, first season with the team, first year with the Feelfree watercraft. I know you're driving a big Dorado now, aren't you?
Well, actually, I have three of them. I have the Moken 10. I have a Lure 11.5 pedal drive, and the go-to boat right now is my Dorado. I actually picking some guys' brains here, and I don't do things short. I just try to jump in head first and hope for the best. And with a little digging and prying, I built a trailer. I put an XI3 on the Dorado with the pinpoint GPS, which absolutely helped my fishing as soon as I put it on. So yeah, going back early on. I mean, we've started tournament fishing local with the Hudson Valley guys, and I took second place in my first event with them in the team event, and I started realizing I actually really like the kayak tournament fishing. So I just really went in head first, and I ended up taking, I believe, first in my monthly in April, a couple first place podium finishes, and I just really hit it running and ended up doing a Lake George event with the KBF. That was a struggle for me because that was like my first shot at big water, and I had little issues with the size of the place. I couldn't break it down the way I wanted to because it just was overwhelming for me. In a nutshell, I ended up doing okay. I think I was in the top 50 or something, which wasn't bad for where what I was up against and how I did personally with it. But yeah, it was good. And at the end of the season, I ended up getting Rookie of the Year of my local club. So it was exciting. Thank you. I actually have the catch thing here. So
There you go.
Very nice. There you go.
Good job.
that was a home run. That felt good. You know, I wanted to get one of them big giant checks, but I'll take that instead any day. So yeah, yeah, it definitely I enjoy it, and you know the Dorado is just a comfortable boat. I know a couple guys were just talking about it, and that thing it makes me comfortable in the water. And being new to the kayak scene, it really is stable, and it gets me around well, and I don't have to worry about now that I'm comfortable in it and doing what I can do in it with the waves and stuff. It doesn't really affect it too much. You know, it does well, and it takes away some of my fear factor of that part of it, the comfort level of having a good platform. A lot of my fishing this year was trying to learn, and some of you all are saying what works, what doesn't work, and you know, I really found that finesse, slow bottom fishing, bumping it, and just really just trying to pick the water apart and finding the fish because they are there. Even in like a couple of lakes we have here, they're river systems, and there's boat traffic constant, and I would get frustrated because there's people constantly back and forth cutting across, fishing, and then you know right on top of you. But really, just taking my time, slowing things down, I was able to catch fish and put up limits where guys were struggling. And I said, well, you know, this is hey, it's actually working. So you know, taking my time and just relaxing and enjoying it has been huge for me. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. A little backstory with Dave Bliss. He's actually local here with me, and we got chatting one night, and I invited him out for a tournament, and he had never really fished a tournament. It was a live event, and he actually did pretty well. He put it together, and I think he took fourth or fifth in the tournament. So he's definitely got something going, and he's on to a couple other ideas. I don't know if he's talked to you all about them with some modifications. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what he can do with them. So
Make sure he reaches out to me and lets me know what his thoughts are. I'd love to hear from him.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
technique, or it's just one of the ways you fish?
Yeah, it's the like the finesse fishing with jigs and stuff, and like the Lake George event, I power fished the entire time. I was just cranking the entire event, and that to me it was stressful, and it was really a different style for myself, and it really is taxing. And some of the guys, I give you kudos to, if that's what your style is, it's really a lot of work to get the bite and make it work. So yeah, I'm excited. I got so much more to do. I want to look at some of the bigger tournaments and start improving on what I'm doing, and I don't want to stop learning. I'm absolutely a student of this. So it's gonna be a better year next year. I think I got some ideas in store to make some more improvements on how my trailer works and things like that too. So little tweaks, and it's huge. With the small changes make a big difference. So
Are you planning on traveling more? Are you going to do more? Are you going to stick local, or are you going to do more regional stuff too?
actually, it's funny. I don't know much about the bass events, but I'm actually really looking at something big like that. My wife and I like to travel, so we're actually going to try to combine it. And I actually bought a truck camper so I can take my boat trailer, and so we can hit the bigger events on the road. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I definitely want to do some larger events, and just break out and see really, the only way to improve is to go against the best people out there, and to me that's going to be the folks that are hitting the national events.
Well, speaking of some of the best people out there, somebody that has won some national tournaments and beat more than 700 people in a tournament a couple of years ago, likes to jump off the front of his boat because he's scared of little. Let's bring on JD. But hey, Jason, before we bring you on, let's look at this Feelfree commercial that they built on our YouTube. Hey, before we bring JD on, I want to share with you guys my screen. The guys over at Feelfree Malaysia, our parent company, our brothers over across the pond, they've got some really cool wear. I wanted to show you guys this and see what y'all think of it. I'm reached out to Roland, and we're going to reach out to these guys and see what we can do maybe to acquire some of this. Right here. What do you think of that?
Oh yeah,
that's badass.
That's cool.
Yep.
Well, send me one.
That's got class.
That's great for
lost my signal.
great for fall and early spring when it's cold.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it looks cool, but down here I'd fry in that.
Yeah. That's
yeah.
what I tell all these guys when they start bringing out these black shirts. I'm like, that'd be great in early spring or late fall, but summertime you're gonna fry.
Well, and that's the thing, we all know. I'm aware of this. I'm fishing regularly, or what, like Kyle's hoodie or your hoodies, but that right there, it would be sweet on stage when you're collecting that check.
I was gonna say that would be good for
promo
after when you run the podium for pictures.
Ricky Banks when he's doing his live videos,
Oh, absolutely. Oh yeah.
That if we can't do something with the guys from overseas, I'm sure we'll look locally to see if we can have something similar like that built. But team and folks out there, I'd like to get y'all's comments on what y'all think of that. Now, I don't know if they ship from over there, but they got their size charts on it on their page at Feelfree Malaysia. Pretty cool. You know, you got to remember that their sizes might not be the same as us Americans, a little bit heavier build. So that's our concern about ordering just straight from them. We have to make sure that everything would fit, and that's one of the things that I think Roland might be looking into. But
Get us a
all right, JD.
kayak.
JD, drum roll. Welcome, buddy. Tell us a little bit about your year, and you can either leave us in suspense about your most recent activity, or you can save it for the end.
I think we'll save that for the end because that event was actually the kickoff of the 23-24 season.
That's right.
So this year, we finally got Bass Nation Kayak Series to come down to Florida. So we had 4 divisions. So I spent most of my season working with them, trying to build that up a little bit in the southern region because the south, central, north, northeast had a great turnout. South, just not as many people. Down south here, most people do saltwater. So started off, we were at Lake Walking Water. Weather was nasty. I think we had about 14 people in that event. It was blowing about 35. Should have canceled it. Don't know why they didn't, but we launched anyway. I found a little spot protected from the wind. In the first 3 hours, I put up my 5-fish limit for about 85 inches. Kept looking at the scoreboard, trying to figure out what I wanted to do, if I needed bigger fish, if I was in the right area. Nobody put anything up. Now it's about 11 o'clock. Made a couple upgrades. I'm up to about 88, 89 inches. Still, only one other angler has 2 fish on the board. I'm in my area. It's dead calm. I'm protected from the wind. I'm up 2 little creeks that had houses, trees. Wind up upgrading to about 93, 94 inches. I got people texting me, asking me, what's going on? Who's sandbagging? Anybody around you? Wound up winning that event. By the end of the trip, everybody was up by me, caught their limit, but they were just 3-4 hours too late. Said, all right, this is a pretty good start for this. Go to the next event, go to Okeechobee, and went out the week before, found this one little area, had to drag through the woods to launch in this little airboat cut, have to cut through overhanging trees, couldn't even stand my rods. Get out there pre-fishing. I think I put up 90 inches in an hour. Stopped catching fish, stopped hooking them. Just went looking around for other areas. But this was an area where when you went there, just too hard to get into, too long of a run. Came back and said, all right, I got this one locked up. Went back the next week. I couldn't get a sniff on my bait. I tried everything I could. Wound up blanking on that event. And for Bass Nation, you needed 4 events with fish to qualify for the Angler of the Year. Next, we went to Istapoga, another world-class fishery. I've only been there twice, didn't get a chance to pre-fish it. Did a lot of map studying. I was going out, doing my thing. Found this one overhanging tree, big old pine tree, branches hanging over the water. Like Ricky was saying, my big thing is flipping. I'm about 20 feet away. Did one little opening in it, flip in there with a, a gambler stinger. Hits perfect, no ripple, no nothing. As soon as it hits, 23-inch bass. All right. Start working all the docks in that area. I think I wound up in fourth place that event. Good points. Go on to the next one at I don't even remember where we were, to be honest. Didn't do so hot. I think I had a 6th place finish in that one. Come to the final event of the season, was at Kenansville Lake, which, if anybody knows me, that's my favorite place to fish in the state. We go out there, lines in at 6:30. By 6:45, I had 66 inches for 3 fish. You guys were talking about people cutting you off and taking your spot. I had 4 kayaks come right in within 20 feet of me. Completely shut the bite down. So I go run out, try a couple other spots that always hold fish. I get nothing. Come back around 12 o'clock. Storms are starting to roll in. You can see the lightning crashing out in the distance. Put 2 more smaller fish up, wind up with about 98, 99 inches. On my way back to the dock, because now it's raining, it's blowing, it's thunder. Pick 1 more fish up, small upgrade, get to 100 even. Wind up winning that one. Last event of the season, trying to figure out, I wound up in 2nd place to actually another Feelfree guy, Tim Campbell, for the AOI points for the year, but qualified for the state championship up at Lake Pennsauken. I went to Pennsauken earlier in the season to fish a central event. Wound up taking 2nd there, had a 24.75, got big bass. But
Imagine that. I can't imagine that.
I think it weighed 10.5 pounds, and go up there. But to catch that one, I had to go to a 3-inch swim bait. They were chasing these tiny little minnows. Just wouldn't touch anything bigger. It was pretty crazy to catch such a fish on such a small bait. And Pennsauken is where the state championship was. Unfortunately, some family issues came up. I couldn't even make the state championship, so I was bummed on that. Busted my ass all year to make it. And we also had another trail, the Florida Kayak Bass Trail, which just started. This is the 2nd season starting now. So last year I fished a few of those events. Had the state championship on Orange Lake this year, a 2-day event. Just couldn't put anything together up there. Like 5 hours from my house. I had no pre-fishing, nothing going on.
Oh,
But
right. Hold that thought, because we have another guy just jumped on. I'm going to remove myself, bring him on. He's at work, and let's let him jump
Hey, fellas.
what's up?
I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Yep.
Okay, great. I'm just at work, so I told John maybe 5 minutes at top, so I gotta get back to work. All right. So what's on the agenda tonight?
Hey, buddy, recap your season for us. Tell us all about what you've been into with your full. You and Verge are rookies this year. Both y'all came on at the same time. Both of you killed it. But give us a recap of your year. This is Elvis Lee, guys from Minnesota.
Yeah. So I guess I can start. So as far as Minnesota goes, our season is very short, and we do have we can't target bass until pretty much the 2nd weekend of May. So, it's super late. Our pre-spawn season is very short, because the spawn up here happens super fast. It's usually about 2 to 3 weeks long only. I mean, you can go up north. I'm in central Minnesota, so about 2 hours north of where I'm at, the fish are still pre-spawn. And then where I'm at to southern Minnesota, the fish are already spawning. So it's like you have like a really short window. Like I said, 2 to 3 weeks tops at most when you're trying to catch a spawning fish. So the last couple of years, I've been going down south like in March to do like one Bassmaster event just to kind of, get me rolling and get me going on the, just be on the water and get some of the rust off. So this year, the first event was the Bassmaster Gunnersville. That's my first time there. I learned quite a bit. I knowing that Gunnersville have grass, I thought it was going to be similar to up here, but I was totally wrong. Those fish are set up differently. Usually up here when the ice is out, you can go and look for fish on grass flats. Basically, any flats that fish are spawning, they're going to be back in there, no matter how cold it is. I mean, guys are catching smallmouth. I mean, not smallmouth, but largemouth bass in 2 feet of water under the ice through just our bass live shallow all year round. So I thought that, hey, you know what, I can go, and catch them on shallow grass flat. I didn't find a single bass out there, which was weird. So it was a very disappointing experience, but it was a good experience nonetheless. I learned a few things. Ryan Thompson, who took second in that event, was a friend of mine. So just listening to how he caught his fish was kind of crazy because I kind of ran that pattern on day 2 where I was just looking at, showing up on a shoal and just fish there and stay there. And I caught fish. Just didn't catch anything big. So I learned something different, something new. And then, our season didn't start till actual local series didn't start till late May. And so I was doing. I went down for the All American Classic. I think a few of you guys were there. I know. I think Jay was there, and that event. I've never really fished outside of a region, so I didn't know how to fish reservoirs or the TV or anything that doesn't have grass. I didn't know how to fish it. I was clueless. So everyone's like, oh, you just go and fish shallow. I was like, well, what do you guys mean fish shallow? And like, well, you literally just throw your bait right up at the bank and they're there. And I was like, I've never done that in Minnesota. We don't do that in Minnesota. We don't fish that way. So, I tried it and I caught fish, nothing big. It was crazy because I only had one day of pre-fish. I actually got off work at midnight. I made the 9 hours down to Truman and then just went pre-fishing the whole day. And so it was crazy. I brought live scope with me, and I was fishing the mouth of a creek. And so I found fish at the mouth, and I was catching them off a jig. So I was like, okay, well, I don't really have to go off of. I can go off of this for the tournament. So tournament comes around. I went to the same spot, tried doing the exact same thing. Those fish moved on me. I did not know what happened. That didn't. I was like, okay, where are these fish now? Like I can't find them. I don't know what's going on. I end up
Elvis,
going to
hey,
yep.
tell us about what your setups are, man, because you and I are probably unique with the Feelfree world, what we use, but you really outdo yourself with your setups.
Yeah. So I'm on a Moken 12.5 ETU with a Minn Kota Power Drive iPilot bow mount setup. I was a big fan of just paddling like human power only. That was my thing. And then having to fish the All American last year in lacrosse, the 3-day event, and got my ass handed to me. I was like, you know what? Screw this. I need a motor. Everyone's got a motor. I'm just putting myself in a disadvantage if I'm not going to motorize my kayak. So I asked within that week, I bought a trolling motor, put it on, and it was a game changer. I think the first tournament I did, I took third, cashed and check, and the motor pretty much paid for itself. So then it kind of changed the way how I fish now. I like to do I like to stand and fish a lot, right? So, with the trolling motor, it enables me to do that and be more efficient on the water. Um, so having the spot lock is crucial, especially for at least for up here. A lot of our stuff like to win a lot of the events up here in this region, you have to have spot lock. You have to go offshore, and not necessarily deep water, but you have to be offshore to be able to be consistent. We don't have because a lot of the lakes up here are natural grass lakes, so we don't have any creeks coming in. I've never experienced what the heck are creek channels until I was down on Russell for the 2022, no, actually the 2023 Bassmaster Kite Championship. That's the first time I ever seen what a creek channel was. So yeah, we don't have any of that stuff up here. It's a lot different. It's just your big old bowls, featureless. You have points here and there. Very basic stuff. So up here, you have to go and find those deep grass edges. It could be rock piles out there. In Minnesota, we can't plant brushes. That's illegal. Wisconsin, they allow that, but Minnesota, you can't. So I don't even know what a brush would look like up here, honestly, other than just looking like grass on the mat on the grass. So yeah, so the bow mount has played a big role in my success this year. Very disappointing to end my local season. You know, I was leading in points, and then I bombed the championship, and then that dropped me out of the top 10 as far as AOI standings go. And I was very disappointed how that went. I mean, I can't blame it on myself, you know. So goal for next year is to chase the All American, and
So
I might do a different setup because I noticed that coming to the South and fish, there's a lot of guys that run a stern mount trolling motor, and that's because of I what I've noticed is a lot of guys who run up creeks, right? You can't really do that with the bow mount. Like you just they're not qualm, they're not fast, they're super slow compared to, let's just say, a Newport Vesta, right? They're slow. I think XI3 the fastest on most kayak, you're pushing maybe 4.5. So I figured I might get another Moken and outfit it with maybe a Newport, if not a Torpedo, and then just run, you know, skinny water and go up creeks. That's not my style of fishing, but I enjoy doing it. I know John see me. I do a lot of river smallmouth fishing with my son, especially this time of year where tournament season is over for us, and all we get to do is just basically chase river smallmouth. So I do enjoy that type of fishing. And lacrosse, I don't know if any of you guys have been to lacrosse, but that's by far my favorite place to fish. Just the fact that it's challenging, and there's so many ways you can catch them. You can catch them out deep, you can catch them shallow, you can go into the thick of the stuff and frog all day if you want to. The last couple of years, a lot of guys been winning and cashing check on just frogging. That's one thing I really don't do in lacrosse because I suck at frog fishing. I'm not good at it at all, you know. And I mean, even guys that I know that come from the South that are super good with the frog, they come up here and they're like, man, lacrosse is brutal with the frog fishing because they miss it so much. And one thing I did learn about frog fishing lacrosse is a lot of people fish it too fast. Like you literally have to just let that frog sit there for seconds at a time. And I did not know that until Tyler Cole. That's all he won. You know, was the Bassmaster. And our buddy Zach Gibbons won the Hobie there and did the exact same thing. Just let the frog sit there and just sit there for seconds at a time. And I've never tried that. I don't know if I have the patience to do that. Like I said, I suck at frog fishing, so what am I? You know, who am I going to tell? So, but yeah, that's me in a nutshell. Any other questions, John?
Oh, buddy, appreciate you jumping on while you had a moment there at work to jump on. And
Yeah.
look forward to watching Elvis continue to grow and continue to catch a bunch of fish.
Next season will be my first season on the road as a rookie. So I was going to do the Bass, but they released the schedule, and I was very disappointed because it's not that I didn't like the destination. It's just that I don't have all the PTO in the world to burn, you know, because each of those events, I think the closest one was like, God, I want to say like 16 hours away, one way. So it makes it tough.
It's definitely where you're located at. You and Verge are so far away from everything down in the south. So, but hey, man, God bless you and thank you for jumping on during your break. And I look forward to talking to you soon, man.
Okay. All right. Thanks. See you later, fellas.
Hey, if you get time, Elvis, make sure you listen to Jay's story here.
Yep, I will. Okay. Sounds
all right,
good.
All right.
Hey, John.
Hey, Jay.
Thanks for having us on, though.
Yeah. All right, Jerry, buddy. You take care.
See you guys.
Take care.
All right, Jay. I know we cut you off to squeeze Elvis in real quick while he was at work, but just wrap up your 2023 season there and continue on with where you were at, brother.
Yeah, you got it. But yeah, this year I didn't do a lot of online events. I was trying to focus mainly on the Bass Nation, the new Florida Kayak Bass Trail. Did a few onlines just to try to win a little bit of gas money because closest event to me is about 2 hours away. But that being said, this past weekend was the kickoff of the 23-24 season for the Florida Kayak Bass Trail down on Headwaters Lake or Stick Marsh. I decided to fish Headwaters. I've never done well on Stick Marsh, so I said, all right, I don't like Headwaters, just not one of my lakes that I like. Always do well there. So I went to a spot I always catch fish. Never went there and not caught a limit until this weekend. And so we go out there. It's windy. It's probably blowing 15 to 20 due west. So I'm out in an area that's somewhat protected, but it's still chopping up pretty good. Throwing a spinnerbait, throwing a worm, throwing everything. On the spinnerbait, I missed 5 fish. I was watching them come up and just eat the blades, not touch the hook. Change colors, change sizes, same thing. Nothing will get them. Day's getting on. This is the story that everybody wants to hear. And it's about 12:45, 1 o'clock. No, sorry, 1:45, 2 o'clock. Tournament ends at 3. I go to my final area of the day. Bunch of reeds, bunch of little islands. Get up to one, throw a spinnerbait out, and I'm working it pretty quick to keep it above the hydrilla, but just under the surface, almost like a wake bait. But it's a spinnerbait. I watch about a 7.5, 8-foot gator come off the island, and it's chasing my bait. Coming full tilt at it. We see it all the time. They chase us. We always talk about, oh yeah, the gators are going to come. Got to watch out. They're going to jump on your kayak. It never happens. I'm watching this thing come, and I'm standing up on the kayak. I got a Lure 13.5 with the motor. I'm 6'3", 245, standing up. I'm like, okay, big kayak, big guy. Thing's coming toward me. Gets about 20 yards away. I'm like, all right, any second he's going to either stop and sink down, turn off like they always do. I start speeding the bait up so he doesn't get to it. He doesn't turn. He gets about 10 yards off. I'm like, all right, time to turn off. He doesn't turn. I sit down because I'm like, oh, I was just thinking the wake was going to get me from this thing because he's throwing a wake like a boat does. Lift my bait out of the water. Gator comes up. The whole head and neck of him comes up on the side of the kayak. About a 7.5, 8-footer. I slide my foot back because I had my foot out there and I don't want him to chew it off. But just the weight of him tips the whole kayak. Kayak never went all the way over. That secondary stability kicked in on the 13.5 and it just stopped. Completely astounded me that the kayak didn't go over. But the momentum was enough that it sent me flying. I go over. I reach back. I grab one of my rods thinking that's going to hold me up. Lose the rod. I hit the water. It's about 5.5, 6 feet deep. I feel the gator's tail hit my leg. I have one guy fishing near me. He's about 100 yards off. He said it was a Jesus moment. I was walking on water. I climb back into the kayak. I'm soaking wet. And I'm just looking around going, did that really just happen? We always talk about it, but the gators never really come up after you. But it was quite scary.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But I got to say, even with that, oh yeah, like we're laughing about it now, but even when it first happened, my buddy came over and he's like, yo, I saw that. Was that really a gator? I said, oh yeah. Oh, it was. And we're laughing about it. I got back to the dock and you know the group of people that fish these kayak events. Everybody's right there to give you a hand. Everybody's checking on you, making sure you're okay. Main reason I do it is just the group of people that are involved with this are just like none other. But seeing that gator come up was
Yeah, I feel like I need to go change my pants right now.
but like I said, seeing the lure tilt and it came up probably like that and just stopped like it was a dock. I've never got it to that point before, but for the fact that it didn't go over with all that extra weight on it, very impressed, very, very impressive.
Awesome. Well, buddy, I appreciate you guys coming on and spending an hour and 10 minutes with us tonight, sharing your stories. Nothing but love for you, and I don't want to keep you too much longer. Final thoughts, Ricky?
Oh, my final thoughts are, Jay, yeah, they do what they did. And my experiences guiding and what have you, I've seen gators do some crazy stuff that you in your mind, I think growing up in the swamp, you become comfortable, and that comfort can sometimes get you. But yeah, they do gator things, and you are blessed. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely blessed. But I wouldn't let it stop me.
Oh, no. There's another event this weekend coming up on the Harris chain I wasn't going to do. It's a gambler-free event.
Yeah.
I was like, I got to jump right back in this. Don't let it get to me. Just
absolutely. You just got to have you'll have more caution, Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think we got a little lax, and now it's wake up call.
Oh yes, yeah, easy to do too. But no, I'm happy to be part of this grand scheme of things with Feelfree. It's just one hell of a family, and it's one of the places that I admire because I've been everywhere in the industry, and they listen to us. They want our ideas. They want our input. They want their products better, and I can't speak enough about it. And it's something that quality's there. The camaraderie's there. There's nobody you can't contact and say, hey, what do you do for this? And the information is there. And I think that's something, if we got better at pooling our information together, there's so much we can learn from each other.
You don't have the guys that make fun of you or just say random things. You got the guys that give legit information with us. That's what I love about it.
No, John makes fun of me, and that's okay. I expect.
Well, that's. Oh, sorry to cut everybody off, but if anybody's in the Florida area, October 28th, go check out Waterways at Englewood. They're doing an in-water demo day. I'll be there. Danny Gann will be there. A couple other guys will be there.
Yeah, the gators cleared out. The gators are cleared out, right?
Oh, that's salt water. We got to worry about the sharks over there.
Bullshit.
This New York guy is never going there.
Verge ain't afraid of no shark.
No, I'll take a shark over a gator any day.
No.
Same here.
No, not me.
I like the sharks a whole lot better.
No, not me.
Yeah.
They don't like me.
Yeah, I like
When I
that
was up
too.
in New York,
You guys have been great helping me being new into the kayak industry and just kind of getting a feel for what happens and how it works and the ins and outs and the tips you guys all help. I do appreciate it. And it's and if you guys ever in New York, I'll take you to non-gator infested waters.
where in New York are you?
I'm actually north of New York City, between Albany and New York City, Dutchess County area.
Yeah, I know that. I'm from Long Island originally.
Yeah, so yeah, about an hour and a half north.
I used to go up on. My wife went to school in Syracuse, and my brother went to school in Rochester, so we were all up and down through there.
Great areas, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Verge, you're welcome, man. You have to go check out the podcast that me and Jay did with Randy Newton, and Jay talks about his experiences in Long Island during 9/11 because he worked out on the coastline there.
Wow.
But that was a great show we did with Randy about a month ago.
I've checked
Yeah, that
it
was.
out.
Jay, go ahead and finish this off, brother.
I just can't wait to see what the next season brings up, and hopefully get a lot more going on with the Feelfree guys here. And I'd like to get together with a bunch of these guys. Maybe we could try to set something up at some point during the year where we all meet up somewhere and just get a weekend on the water together.
That'd be wonderful. That'd be totally awesome if we met somewhere, stayed at a house for a week, and just shot a lot of content and a lot of camaraderie.
Exactly. I see you guys online all the time. It would be great to see you guys.
Absolutely.
I follow what you guys all do in the tournaments and you chasing your big fish and everything you're making for the kayaks with your teak. So
Yeah.
definitely learning a lot from all you guys.
Now, Jay, have you described spinner baits and getting your blades hit? Have you ever drilled out the back of the spinner bait and put a stinger in it?
Yep.
Okay.
But
that's
down here,
not the only option you have.
down here, the problem with that is you fish down here with all the grass in the lakes. You put that blade on, it's an instant magnet.
Yeah. It's
All right,
weak.
fellas. Appreciate you all coming on tonight. God bless you. We're going to shut this thing down. Stay safe.
Thank you for having me.
And
Thanks, Sean.
thank you all. Appreciate you. And we'll do this again maybe next month.
Sounds good.
Talk about
Have a great night.
winter techniques and stuff. So y'all take care.
Take care.
You too. Have a good night.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap the show up. Appreciate everybody that came out. Stay safe, be blessed. When you're out on the water, always let somebody know what your travel routes are going to be, where you're putting in, where you're taking out, if you're floating a river, your routes. Use Life 360 or find GPS, some type of GPS where people can track you. Always wear your PFD. Be safe.